The thunderous roar of the alien engines shook the plateau, but it was the armor that drew every eye, a suit of gleaming metal, etched with strange symbols that glowed faintly under the dying sun. It sat atop a stone pedestal, untouched, unclaimed, as if waiting for someone who would never come. "Impossible," muttered Commander Valen, staring at the armor through the viewport of his hovercraft. His jaw tightened. "Not one of us, none of the warriors, none of the champions has been able to wear it. Not even the elders." On the battlefield below, dozens of alien species had gathered, their leaders watching in silent amusement. The legend of the armor had traveled across the stars, forged in the heart of a dead star, capable of turning its wearer into a god of war. Every warrior who had tried to don it had fallen, crushed by the sheer force of its demands, or so the stories said. Valen's squad dismounted. Dust swirled around their boots. The plateau felt eerily quiet, as if the land itself feared the armor. "We should wait for instructions," said Lieutenant Rena, her voice trembling slightly. She glanced at the distant horizon, where alien ships glinted like predator eyes. "No," Valen snapped. His hand hovered over his holster. "Waiting hasn't worked for anyone. Not for the elders. Not for the heroes who tried and died. I want to see what it does. I want to see if—" Before he could finish, the air shimmered. The armor pulsed like a heartbeat, and the temperature dropped, their breaths fogged, and the symbols on the metal etched deeper into the eyes of those who looked. A shadow detached itself from the alien ranks. A creature twice the height of Valen lunged forward, its claws ready. It screeched and charged. In a flash, Valen's instincts took over. He fired, dodged, and rolled, but the alien moved faster than thought, closing the distance. Rena screamed as the creature's claw slashed a deep gouge into the plateau stone. The squad opened fire, but every shot bounced harmlessly off its scaled hide. Valen glanced at the armor again. The glow intensified, almost beckoning. It was as if it wanted a champion, and not the expected kind. Then, without thinking, Valen ran. He sprinted toward the pedestal, dodging energy blasts and alien strikes. Every nerve screamed at him to stop, but something deeper, something raw, human, urged him forward. He reached the armor, hand trembling. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, a shockwave slammed outward, knocking him to the ground. Pain exploded in his chest, and for a heartbeat the world went white, and then silence. Valen opened his eyes. The armor had moved. Its plates shifted and floated around him, assembling as if recognizing him. The symbols glowed brighter than ever. The aliens froze, eyes wide with disbelief. It accepted him, Rena whispered. Her voice caught in awe. Nobody has ever worn it. Valen stood, feeling the weight and power of the armor envelop him. It didn't crush him. It didn't reject him. It flowed into him, syncing with his heartbeat, his movements, his very will. For the first time, legends felt real and terrifying. From the alien lines, a war cry erupted. They moved together, a tidal wave of predators and mercenaries. Valen's squad raised their weapons, but he held up a hand. The armor hummed, energy radiating outward, forming shields, blades, and a brilliant aura that made the plateau shimmer. He took a step forward. One, then another. The ground trembled. The aliens paused, sensing something ancient and unstoppable. Valen spoke, though his voice was amplified by the armor, echoing across the plateau. "I am human, and today we fight." A deafening roar answered him, not just from the aliens, but from the depths of the plateau, the sky, and perhaps somewhere in the soul of humanity itself. The first strike came, but this time it wouldn't be humanity's last. The plateau shook as the alien forces surged forward. Dozens of shapes, hulking, spiked, clawed, charged at Valen. The armor around him wasn't just metal. It moved like a living thing, bending light and sound. Each step he took left faint, scorched imprints on the stone, glowing symbols rippling across the surface. Rena shouted from behind, "Commander!" "They're overwhelming us." Valen raised a hand. Energy formed in the shape of a shield, wider than their entire squad could have hoped to create. Blasts slammed against it, sending waves of heat and pressure rolling across the plateau. Alien warriors skidded backward, disbelief etched on their faces. He took a step forward, and the armor responded instinctively. Blade-like extensions unfolded from the gauntlets, glowing with a sharp, humming light. The first alien reached him, and with one swing it was cut clean through, dissipating into sparks that scattered like fireflies in the wind. The battlefield froze for a heartbeat. No one, not alien, not human, had ever witnessed anything like this. Rena's voice broke the silence. "Commander, it's not just the armor. It's you. It's us." Valen's chest tightened. He realized then that the armor wasn't merely a weapon. It was a reflection of its wearer. Calm, measured, but burning with the kind of stubborn hope and courage that humans carried. No alien had ever shown that balance before. No one had ever tried to understand it. The aliens regrouped, this time more cautiously. Valan noticed their hesitation, a ripple of uncertainty spreading through the ranks. They were used to fear, but not the kind humans carried. Defiance. He inhaled deeply, the armor sinking with his heartbeat. And then he ran, faster than any human, yet precise. Each step left a trail of energy that repelled the enemies, bending their attacks away. He struck the next wave with surgical precision. For every alien that charged, the armor adapted. Shields, blades, even small energy pulses that disrupted the coordinated ranks. But power always comes with cost. With every attack, Valan felt the strain, his mind wrestling with the overwhelming input of the armor. It demanded focus, emotion, and courage all at once. One wrong thought and it could reject him, just like it had rejected every hero before. A shadow moved on the far edge of the plateau, a leader among the aliens, larger than the rest, cloaked in dark energy. Its voice boomed, translated by some alien mechanism. "Child of clay. You dare touch what gods could not? You will be undone." Valen's fingers tightened on the gauntlets. The armor pulsed almost in response to the insult. He didn't answer with words. He answered with action. The ground beneath the alien erupted in energy, knocking it off balance. For a moment, the impossible seemed possible. Behind him, his squad followed cautiously, inspired but terrified. Humans weren't supposed to survive this battlefield, let alone lead. Yet here they were, standing taller than any legend had promised. Rena shouted over the din, "Commander! Incoming from the left flank!" Valan pivoted. Energy arcs lashed out, slicing through alien ranks with precision, protecting his squad. He felt something new, the armor communicating with him, not just accepting him, but trusting him. Every human instinct, imperfect, flawed, reckless, made it respond differently. The leader alien roared again, gathering a massive strike. Energy spiraled, bending the air, sending the plateau into chaos. But Valan held fast. He remembered his training, his fear, and his determination. He shouted, and the armor resonated with every ounce of his will. The strike collided with him, and the world erupted in light. Energy tore outward, a wave of brilliance that knocked the alien leader off its feet. Dust and smoke rose, revealing a battlefield that had shifted. The alien forces, shaken and leaderless, hesitated, confused by this unexpected human force. Valan fell to one knee, chest heaving. The armor hummed softly, almost soothing him. He looked at Rena, who ran to his side. "You did it," she whispered, awe in her voice. You actually did it." He shook his head slowly. "We did it. Humanity did it. The armor, it just waited for the right heart." And across the plateau, alien eyes widened with a new understanding. Humans were not merely flesh and bone. They were unpredictability, creativity, courage. They could bend even ancient powers to their will. Valan rose, the armor gleaming in the evening sun. One hand reached out toward the alien commander, who struggled to rise, energy crackling. "We fight for survival," he said, voice calm, steady, yet resonating with unshakable defiance. "And for the first time, humanity will not fall." The aliens hesitated. Fear was no longer the weapon that ruled the stars. Something else had awakened. Something that refused to break. And humanity, through Valan, had shown it. The smoke from the battlefield drifted across the plateau like a shroud, mingling with the acrid scent of scorched stone and alien energy. Valan knelt briefly, catching his breath, feeling the hum of the armor beneath his skin. It wasn't just a suit of metal. It was alive, reacting to every beat of his heart, every thought that crossed his mind. Rena helped him to his feet. "Commander, the aliens. They're retreating." Her eyes scanned the horizon, but she didn't sound relieved. There was tension in her voice. "They'll come back. Smarter, faster, stronger." Valan nodded, understanding. This was no ordinary enemy. These were beings who had conquered worlds, who wielded powers older than the oldest human myths. And yet, for the first time in their history, they hesitated. High above, the alien leader had regrouped. Its form shimmered, tendrils of dark energy swirling like storm clouds. Its voice cut through the wind, translated by some incomprehensible alien resonance. You are no mere human, but the mind of a mortal cannot hold what gods wield. This shall be your undoing. Valen felt the armor pulse in response, almost instinctively. Unlike previous wearers, he didn't feel crushed or overwhelmed. Instead, there was a strange clarity, a dialogue of thought and instinct he could barely put into words. The armor listened, but it also learned. He realized something profound. It had never been about strength alone. Every hero before him had failed because they tried to dominate it, to control it. Humanity didn't need to dominate. Humanity adapted. Humanity understood uncertainty. Valen, Rena said, drawing closer, "You're talking to it, aren't you?" He nodded, a small grin breaking through the sweat and grime. "I think it's listening. I think it wants someone who can fear and hope at the same time." The alien forces descended again, this time faster, using flying warcraft to flank the humans. Their attacks were synchronized, precision crafted, yet the armor adjusted. Energy shields expanded, slicing pulses of repelling force outward. Valen moved like a conductor, the battlefield responding to his thoughts. But the armor was more than a weapon. It was demanding. Every swing, every strike exacted a toll. Exhaustion clawed at him. His muscles screamed, his mind burned. He faltered for a moment, and the alien commander seized it, hurling a surge of energy that twisted the air like molten metal. Pain exploded in Valen's chest, knocking him off balance. He hit the ground hard, dust choking him. His squad froze, seeing their commander struggle for the first time. Then something miraculous happened. The armor itself surged forward, as if protecting him not through strength but through instinct. Plates shifted, energy flaring in a halo around him, and it absorbed the attack. Valen gasped, realizing the truth. It was thinking with him, for him. He struggled to rise, teeth clenched, and the battlefield fell silent for a heartbeat. All the alien eyes watched in disbelief. They had seen conquerors before, but never this. Never someone and something moving as one. Valen's voice rang out, amplified by the armor, steady, commanding, "We fight not because we are invincible, but because we refuse to fall." He lunged forward, the armor responding instinctively. Blades spun, shield surged, energy pulses struck with unerring precision. Every alien attack was countered not by mere power, but by the armor anticipating human unpredictability, the hesitation, the boldness, the creativity. The alien leader roared, frustrated, its dark energy snapping like a storm against an immovable cliff. How can you wield it?" Valen stepped closer, the armor humming with resonance. "Because I feel it," he said. "Because I know fear. And I know hope. I know loss. I know what it means to fight for something bigger than myself." And then he did something no one expected. Instead of striking the leader, he extended a hand, not in surrender but in challenge. "You think gods are above us? But maybe the universe is above you, and humans are just the ones willing to reach for it." The alien paused. Confusion rippled across its form. In that instant, the armor flared brilliantly, as if agreeing with him. For the first time, the battlefield shifted from chaos to suspense. The aliens hesitated, not because of fear, but because they didn't understand the force confronting them. Behind him, Rena whispered, "It's human. It's really human. That's why it listens." Valen's gaze hardened. This fight was far from over, but he finally understood something crucial. The armor was never meant for gods, for the invincible, or the perfect. It was meant for someone willing to feel every human flaw and use it as a strength. He rose fully, energy humming around him like a living aura. "We will survive," he said, voice calm but unwavering, "because this is what makes us human." And across the stars, somewhere in the alien minds, uncertainty took root. For the first time, they feared not the strength of humans, but the human heart itself. The plateau had fallen silent. Smoke curled like ghosts over the scorched stone, and the alien forces had retreated. At least that's what the humans thought. Valen's armor still pulsed faintly, sinking with every heartbeat, every ragged breath. His squad huddled behind rocks, eyes wide, knowing that surviving the first wave was only the beginning. Rena adjusted her weapon, scanning the horizon. "Commander, they're gone, right?" We actually won." Valen shook his head. Not gone, he said. Waiting. Patient, calculating, that's what makes them dangerous. And then the sky split open. From the cliffs above, alien ships dropped silently, like falling stars. Not soldiers. They were cages, black and spiked, releasing shadowy constructs that skittered across the plateau with terrifying speed. They didn't roar. They didn't shout. They watched, analyzing every movement before striking. Valen felt the armor tense around him. Unlike before, instinct alone would not suffice. This attack required thought, improvisation, and every ounce of human cunning. Rena's voice cracked, urgent. They're flanking us. Commander, what do we do? Valen took a deep breath. The armor hummed, responding to his thoughts, almost like a second heartbeat. We don't fight like them, he said quietly. We fight like humans, messy, unpredictable, unreasonable. He leaped forward, the armor reacting instantly, blades forming and shields expanding. Shadows struck fast as lightning, but Valen moved differently this time. He didn't aim for perfection. He staggered, dodged, rolled, even stumbled. Each movement calculated yet chaotic. The armor flowed with him, enhancing, compensating, turning human flaws into weapons. Commander, the shadows, Rena shouted, fending off one of the constructs. She struggled as its claws slashed, energy sparks dancing across her shields. Valen spun, striking a shadow mid-air. Instead of annihilating it, the armor redirected it into another, like a wave crashing over a rocky shore. For the first time, his squad saw that the armor didn't just fight, it choreographed. Human improvisation combined with alien perfection became unstoppable. But the alien commander was still watching from above. Its dark energy coiled around its form like a storm ready to strike. You amuse me, human, it hissed. You bend what should break you. But can you endure this? Valen clenched his fist. We endure, he said, and then he made a move that no one expected. Instead of retreating to a safer position, he charged the shadows directly, deliberately drawing their attention. His squad followed cautiously. Valen's goal wasn't to destroy everything. He was leading the constructs into a trap using the plateau itself. Rocks, fissures, uneven ground, they were weapons now. The first shadow lunged and he sidestepped at the last moment, letting it crash into a fissure. Another followed. He rolled, drawing it toward a cluster of energy residues from the first battle. Sparks erupted, blinding the constructs, giving his squad openings to attack. Rena's eyes widened. You're using the battlefield itself? Valen smiled, grim but determined. We humans survive by adapting. That's our strength. That's why the armor listens. The alien commander's voice erupted with rage. Energy tore across the plateau, hurling rocks and debris, trying to crush Valen in a single strike. But he anticipated it, dodging, weaving, letting the armor bend the energy harmlessly into the ground. His heart pounded, but his mind stayed razor-sharp. Finally, with a combination of blades, shields, and precise movement, Valen funneled the remaining constructs into a canyon. A single swing of his arm released a pulse that collapsed the rocks, trapping them permanently. Silence fell, broken only by the wind and the labored breathing of the humans. Valen lowered his arm, the armor relaxing but still humming faintly. Rena ran to his side, awe and fear mingling in her eyes. You planned all of that? He shook his head, exhausted but resolute. No, we adapted. That's what humans do. That's why we survive. That's why the armor works with us, not against us. High above, the alien commander recoiled, its form shimmering with unease. Never before had it seen such tactics. Strength, speed, and raw power could be calculated. But unpredictability? Creativity? Fear and courage intertwined? Those were unknowns. Forces even the oldest civilizations could not control. Valen looked across the plateau, standing taller than exhaustion, taller than fear. The aliens would return stronger, smarter, but he knew something they didn't. Humans were never perfect. And yet, in that imperfection, there was brilliance. He clenched his fist, the armor humming in resonance. We fight not because we are invincible, he said quietly, but because we are human. And nothing can take that away. The plateau was quiet now, but Valen knew it was a deceptive calm. The alien commander had retreated but not vanished. Its shadow lingered like smoke, a reminder that their fight was far from over. The armor hummed faintly, almost impatient, as if urging him onward. Rena and the squad followed closely as Valen approached the pedestal. The symbols on the armor glowed brighter than ever, resonating with the ancient inscriptions etched into the stone. He crouched, fingertips tracing the patterns. The energy thrummed beneath his touch, pulsing like a heartbeat. "Commander?" Rena said softly. "What is this place? Why was the armor here?" Vaylon shook his head. "I don't know, yet. But I can feel something. The armor. It's not just power. It's knowledge. Memories, maybe. It's been waiting for someone to understand it." He closed his eyes, letting the hum of the armor synchronize with his own thoughts. Suddenly, visions flashed before him. Not fully formed, but fragments. Starships falling into voids of fire. Warriors collapsing under impossible pressure. A forge glowing in the heart of a dying star. And in every vision a single truth stood out. No one had survived because they had tried to control it, not bond with it. The armor pulsed more strongly. Vaylon opened his eyes, realization dawning. "It doesn't just amplify strength," he murmured. "It amplifies understanding. Courage, fear, hope. It turns humanity's flaws into its own, into our strength." Rena frowned. "So we're not just fighting with it. We're part of it?" He nodded slowly. "Exactly. And if that's true, the alien commander might think it's a weapon we can wield. But it's more than that. It's alive. It chooses, and it chose me." Their discussion was cut short by the tremor of the plateau beneath their feet. From the cliffs above, dark energy spiraled downward. The alien commander was coming back, more monstrous than before. Its voice echoed across the plateau, cold and cruel. "You cling to it, human. But the armor is not yours. You will break under its weight." Vaylon's chest tightened. The weight wasn't physical, it was mental, a test of resolve and understanding. But he realized he was no longer alone. The armor had bonded with his human instincts. Every fear, every hope, every mistake became fuel rather than burden. He turned to Rena. "Stand behind me. Whatever happens, we fight together. The armor, it works with humanity, not against it." The commander descended, dark energy twisting into a massive form that seemed to consume the very air. Shadows stretched across the plateau, swallowing light. The squad trembled, but Vaylon stepped forward, armor glowing in defiance. The battle began, not with brute force, but with intelligence. Vaylon anticipated attacks, but he also improvised using the terrain, the armor, and his own instincts. He didn't aim to overpower, it was about precision, understanding, and connection. The alien commander struck, a wave of dark energy meant to crush him in a single blow. Vaylon faltered, but then something extraordinary happened. The armor expanded, forming tendrils of light that intertwined with his instincts, moving faster than thought. He redirected the energy, channeling it into the cliffs, causing massive fractures that sent shards of rock crashing down around the alien commander. The commander roared in frustration, retreating momentarily. Vaylon's chest heaved, sweat dripping down his face. He realized the armor had not just amplified his body, it had amplified his understanding of the battlefield, of himself, of humanity. Rena approached, awe shining in her eyes. "Commander, it's like you're one with it." Vaylon nodded slowly, exhaustion and determination warring in his gaze. "It's not me," he said quietly. "It's us, humanity. Every flaw, every fear, every hope, it listens. It reacts, it chooses. And that is something no alien, no god could ever predict." Above, the alien commander regrouped, sensing this shift. Its attacks would grow deadlier, more cunning. But for the first time, it knew it faced more than a human. It faced the unpredictable, resilient and unbreakable spirit of humanity, fused with a weapon that no one else could wield. Vaylon looked at the horizon, the sun dipping low, painting the plateau in fiery red. The path ahead was dangerous, impossible even, but he felt something he hadn't before, hope. Not because of the armor, but because humanity had finally shown that even the mightiest force in the galaxy could not break the human heart. And somewhere deep within the armor, a truth was solidifying. Humans were not merely worthy, they were exceptional. The plateau trembled as the alien commander descended, larger and darker than ever, energy swirling around it like a storm about to consume the world. Vaylon's armor glowed, pulsing with anticipation as if it had been waiting for this very moment. Every symbol shimmered brighter, resonating with his heartbeat. This was the crucible, the final test, not just of strength but of humanity itself. "Commander," Rena whispered, gripping her weapon tightly. This is it. Are we ready?" Vaylon shook his head. "Ready? No, but we have no choice.
Humanity isn't about being ready.
It's about doing what's necessary, even when you're terrified. The alien commander's voice boomed, shaking the plateau. You cannot hold what you do not understand. I will shatter you, human. I will tear your spirit from your bones. Vaylon's chest tightened, but he didn't falter. The armor responded instantly, tendrils of glowing metal and energy wrapping around him, amplifying not just his strength but his perception, his creativity, and his courage. He realized that the armor had been testing him all along, forcing him to embrace fear, hope, and imperfection simultaneously. The first strike came. A wave of dark energy blasted toward him, enough to flatten mountains. Vaylon leaped into action, the armor bending the wave harmlessly into the ground. Rocks exploded, energy crackled, and dust consumed the plateau. But he stood firm. "Commander," Rena shouted. "They're overwhelming us." Vaylon didn't hesitate. "Then we improvise." He ran toward a cluster of jagged cliffs, the alien commander following, its dark energy striking everything in its path. Vaylon twisted, ducked, and rolled, letting the armor channel his movements. Every misstep, every instinct, every human flaw became a weapon. The aliens couldn't predict him, because humans didn't follow patterns. The alien commander unleashed a massive surge of energy, warping the air, bending the plateau's surface. Vaylon braced himself, fists clenched, and in that moment the armor spoke, not in words but in resonance, understanding, synchronization. It moved as one with him, every blade, shield, and pulse perfectly in rhythm with his heartbeat. He saw an opening, a tiny gap in the alien's defenses. But it wasn't just about brute force. He had to act with courage, creativity, and intuition. He twisted, diving under the wave of energy, and extended his gauntlets. The armor flared, a brilliant explosion of light binding the alien's energy into itself. The alien roared, stunned, energy faltering. Vaylon didn't stop. He pushed forward, not to destroy but to contain. He realized then the final truth. The armor had chosen a human because humans didn't simply conquer. They understood, adapted, and persevered. Strength alone was useless without heart. The plateau shook violently as the alien commander lashed out in one final attempt. Vaylon stood firm, the armor wrapping him in a cocoon of brilliant light. He didn't flinch. He didn't hesitate. Every fear, every doubt, every moment of weakness became fuel for the armor, transforming human vulnerability into unstoppable resilience. And then, the impossible happened. The alien commander faltered. For the first time, it hesitated. Its attacks became erratic, unpredictable. It tried to retreat, but Vaylon, harnessing the full power of the armor and humanity, didn't just block its path. He mirrored it, anticipated it, and forced it to confront its own unpredictability. The commander crashed to the plateau, energy dissipating in waves, defeated not by raw power, but by ingenuity, courage, and the human heart. Silence fell. Vaylon sank to one knee, exhausted beyond imagination, the armor humming softly around him. Rena ran forward, tears in her eyes. "Commander, you did it. We survived." He looked around at the squad, the plateau and the battlefield littered with defeated shadows. "We survived," he said, voice calm but firm, "because we are human. Not invincible, not perfect, but unbreakable when we choose to be." High above, the alien commander's consciousness recoiled into the void, realizing its first true failure. For the first time, it understood that humans were more than flesh and bone. They were unpredictability, courage, hope, and resilience incarnate. And no force in the galaxy could fully control them. Vaylon rose fully, the armor shimmering around him like a living crown. He had passed the crucible. He had become the first human to wear the legendary armor. But more than that, he had shown the galaxy what humanity truly was. Somewhere in the depths of the armor, in the glow of the symbols, a voice seemed to resonate, not alien, not human, but something in between. A single truth the armor had chosen correctly. Humanity was worthy, and in that moment across the stars, a new legend began. The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke drifted in slow, curling tendrils, and the shards of shattered cliffs glimmered faintly in the dying sun. The alien commander had vanished, retreating to the void, its dark energy broken, its arrogance shattered. For the first time in history, the galaxy had witnessed humans not just surviving, but prevailing where even gods had failed. Vaylon stood atop the plateau, the legendary armor shimmering around him, alive and radiant. It no longer pulsed urgently or demanded him to act. It rested as if acknowledging a victory long earned. The symbols etched into its surface glowed faintly, a heartbeat in rhythm with his own. Rena approached, eyes wide, her weapon lowered. "Commander, you did it. All of us, we actually did it." Valen shook his head, exhaustion lining his face, but there was a faint smile. "It wasn't just me. It's never just one person. Humanity, we adapt, we endure, we don't need to be perfect. That's why we survive." Behind them, the squad slowly gathered, battered, bloodied, but alive. Their eyes lingered on the armor and the man within it, awestruck. Humans were no longer just one species among many. They were a force the galaxy had underestimated. Valen raised a hand, and the armor responded, energy radiating outward, clearing debris, calming the tremors of the plateau. It was as if the land itself recognized humanity's triumph. "Look," he said softly, this is only the beginning." The plateau stretched before them, and in the distance, alien ships slowly retreated, their leaders carrying a newfound fear and respect. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would not forget. Humans were unpredictable, resilient and courageous to a degree that no technology, no ancient power, could fully anticipate. Rena stepped closer. "What now, Commander?" Valen looked toward the horizon where the first stars of night began to twinkle. "Now, we show them who we are, not through conquest but through survival, through hope, through the choices we make when everything tells us to fall. The armor, it doesn't just amplify power. It amplifies what makes us human, and that is something worth protecting." The armor shimmered, almost as if it agreed, wrapping Valen in a brilliant aura that reflected the unity of human heart, mind, and spirit. It had been forged in a star, crafted with impossible skill, but it had waited for something only humanity could provide. Courage paired with compassion, fear tempered by hope, imperfection refined into strength. Valen knelt, touching the stone pedestal one last time. "We didn't come here to claim a weapon," he said quietly. "We came to show that even in a universe full of gods, legends, and impossible challenges, humans will always fight, will always endure, and will always rise." The squad gathered around him, standing taller despite their wounds. They were ordinary humans in extraordinary circumstances, yet in that moment, they embodied the best of humanity, bravery, ingenuity, and the unshakable refusal to surrender. From the horizon, the first alien scouts approached, not to attack, but to observe, to learn, and perhaps to reconsider the legends of humans. Stories would spread across the galaxy, tales of an unyielding species that defied the impossible, and of the human who wore the legendary armor when no one else could. Valen rose, the armor gleaming with the soft light of a new dawn. "Let them come," he said, voice steady and resolute. "Let them watch. Humanity is not just a species. We are a force. We endure, we rise, and we will never be broken." The wind swept across the plateau, carrying away the remnants of battle. Humanity had survived the impossible. Humanity had triumphed where gods could not. And somewhere deep within the armor, an eternal truth glowed brighter than ever. Humans were not merely survivors of the galaxy. They were its spark. The sun rose over the horizon, illuminating the plateau and the man within the armor. Valen looked forward, not as a commander, not as a soldier, but as a human who had shown the universe the meaning of courage. And the galaxy would never forget.